Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Today's daf is Kesubos daf Samach Zayin, or 67, just Daf It, part of Yeshiva YouTube. We're talking a little bit about David Ben Gurion today. Nakdimon Ben Gurion. Are they the same people? I don't know. And we were discussing the value of gold and gold filled. And also, we're talking about the mitzvah of tzedakah, about different people. If they can, how much money you have to give people for tzedakah, depending on the mechsera shayechshala, the Torah says, how much they really need it. Let's get into it. The bottom of Samavim and Base 66b. We're talking about the daughter of Nakdom Ben Gurion. She became very poor. She lost her entire fortune that she was promised in her dowry. The Gemara says because her father ended up losing it because he didn't do tzedakah. One of the opinions was he didn't do enough charity. So the second to last time, Nakdim Ben Gurion lo avat tzedakah. He didn't do charity. Vatan. The Brayso says, "Amru lav Nakdim Ben Gurion shayotzim beiso lebeis medrash." He's going from his house to beis medrash to learn. Kli miles hayu meitzian taklev. They would spread expensive Persian rugs under his feet. The poor people would come after he got to the beis medrash, roll up these mats and sell them for a great fortune. So he did tzedakah. The reason he went out on these mats was to provide in a sanua way. We'll talk about when you give tzedakah, you're supposed to do it in private. They shouldn't know who's getting it. They shouldn't know who they're getting it from. So or the person giving it shouldn't know who's getting it. So the Gemara says, the charity he did for honor, right? He put his name up in all the yeshivas, right? His building was dedicated by he did it for his honor. He didn't do it with the right intentions. He had so much money, he didn't give enough charity. He wasn't a big enough philanthropist as he should have been. People say, how strong is the camel is the load, meaning the stronger the camel, the stronger the load should be. She actually collected barley from between the hooves of horses, Akko, which is northern Israel. When I saw her, I recited this pasuk upon seeing her. If you don't know me, even the most beautiful of the women, silach bikveat. So when you go after the cattle, the horses, rilach yigidotayach, and ri'i, like an animal grazes, graze your gidiotayach, altu gidiotayach, not your young sheep, your kids. Ella give yosach, your body. Some of people, women, right? In times of sorrow, in times of misfortune, they have to collect barley seeds and feed their bodies from hooves of animals. Amar of Shem Baraba, Amar of Yochanan. Let's say the woman brought into her marriage gold, right? Not gold coins, gold bars of gold. How do you evaluate that? You evaluate exactly how much it's worth. So gold now sells for, I don't know, a pound, I guess, a troy ounce, I think it goes for, $1,900 per troy ounce or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what the value is now. Fluctuates. It's worth a lot. It's gold. You do exactly, as market value at that time, and that's what he has to return to her if the marriage dissolves. Gold is like utensils. My love kikelim shalkesef, the epoxy. Isn't it talking about regular standard objects that are made out of silver? Right, silver, and like other movable objects, right, you evaluate it in the Kesuba 1/5 less of its market value. Why 1/5 less? So one explanation is because it depreciates in value. Gold doesn't depreciate in value. Or the other explanation I gave is because, these types of things, have a higher retail price than their wholesale price. Gold usually has the same price, retail and wholesale, because, the reason a retail price is greater than the wholesale price is because wholesale is basically, what it's worth. Retail is a higher price. You have to pay a premium because, that's how they make money off of that. It also goes down in value, so that's why the retail price is higher. They're able to sell it higher than the wholesale price. The wholesale price is also not really its value. It's even cheaper than the wholesale price. But however, the main providers for it are you're able to sell it for a high retail price because it's going to go down in value. So to its base value. Base value, right? The wholesale value is basically what it's worth, retail minus its use. So epoxy isn't like gold is like keli made of silver. Whereas look, kelim shel zav, it's talking about utensils made out of gold earrings, let's say, the low epoxy or gold cup. Im can't kelim mi buy. It just said gold is like its utensils, not kalim, which sounds like other kalim made of other metals. Mi buy. Oh Tanya, another Bryce says zav areu kalim. Zav is like kalim, right? Ambiguous kalim. Dinre zav, dinarim of gold, coins of gold, which is harei ksafim. That's like money. We said money. You have to add 50%. He has to pay back 50% because he gets to use the money to put in the stock market, put in the real estate market. He's going to probably benefit all. He's going to probably increase the value of that money. In a place where they're not exchanged for money, right? So then you evaluate as its value, presumably the value of gold. So first the Gemara tries to figure out Rishon Gamliel was going on which part of the Tanakama, the Reish or the Seifa? Ilema Seifa, on the Seifa, Michal Tanakama Sarah Filu Makushanagu Shal Lafartan, right? He's going on a place where we're talking about it's not used as money, right? Rishon Gamliel holds not used as money. You evaluate it as its value, right? So the Tanakama argues on that, right? And he would say even a place where it's not used as money, right? You would evaluate it as money. Halo nafki, it's not used as money. How could you evaluate? How could you add 50% to its value? El lava resha. I was going to go on the resha, where we said din zav zav haruki kalim. Hakimar zav haruki kalim. Tanakam zav is like kalim. My kalim came shal kesav, like utensils of silver which depreciate. Shingul omer haruki dinar shal zav. Shingul says no, they're like coins of gold. The makom shinagu shal lefartan. In a place where they're not exchanged for money. So we see from the Tanakama's opinion that it's a refutation. We want to say Zav Hariyuki Kalim Shal Zav. No, you see Harim Kalim Shal Kesef. And that's the Machlokas. And I says, Lo, the Olam HaSeifa, really it's called Rishon on the Seifa. Of the Nafki, we're talking about where the gold coins are, it's hard to get people to exchange things for them, but some people will take them as currency. Some right, Shingla holds, Tanakama holds, since Shingla says what? Shingla says you don't calculate them as coins, you calculate their value. So Tanakama holds came on the nafki, since some people will take them as currency, that we treat it as money, and therefore you add 50%. We don't, Shingla holds, you don't give the higher value, you give the value of gold, exactly the value it is. Alternatively, you can say in the entire Brisa, part of it is missing. Zav is like kalim. Right? Gold coins are like money. A place where the dinrei zav, the gold coins, can be used as currency. And they don't accept it as money. They're like its value, the value of gold, exactly the value that's sold for. It doesn't depreciate. Place where they don't use that as money, you treat it as its value. So you see the whole Brisa of Shigam, but Tanakama would argue, and Tanakama would say that's like it's like gold, not like silver. So then what it says, if you want, if Rishon Gamliel was really saying that, he would say that it's like gold utensils. He said sounds like Rishon Gamliel. Everybody holds it's like Kalim Shal Kesef, Kasha. So it is indeed a difficulty. By Yisema, alternatively, a different answer. Right? What type of gold is treated like silver utensils, depreciable, right? Depreciating assets. Talking about chips of gold. Rashar and Mala, he said dust of gold. They have these types of alloys where they it's called goldfeld here in Israel. I don't think the English word for that is, but they mix. There's a little bit of gold dust mixed in with other metals. and that depreciates, and the retail price is obviously higher than its real value. So, Amar Rabbi Yana, some Michelle and Tochi are anything Sofim. Right, we're going to see those certain things that were very valuable, that were treated like money. They were easily exchangeable for goods. Right, in Antokia, right, a place in Turkey, a city in Turkey, the spices there were, the perfumes there were very valuable. You can exchange it like money. They're like Sofim. You have to add 50%. Amar Shmuel ben Achmeni, Amar Yochanan, Gemolim shel Arvia. Camels in the Arabian Peninsula are very valuable. You have big deserts over there. Isha Goba Parnamhem, she collects an extra 50% if the marriage dissolves. Amar Papi, Hani Tosvi de Mirsi, Isha Goba Parnamhem, Tosvi de Mirsi. I forgot what this is. What is this? Tosvi de Mirsi. Shirts of Beimixi. I don't know. Shirts, very valuable shirts. I don't know, silk shirts. They were very valuable. They were like a currency in Beimixi. I guess in places like India. I don't know, they have silkworm. I don't know. Amar of Papi, Hani Saki de Rudia. Bags in Rudia of Ashley de Campunia, and ropes in Campunia. Ropes. I guess these are places where they did a lot of hiking or whatever. They needed duffel bags and needed ropes to climb down the mountain. These should go apart, man. They're very valuable in these places. A woman would, it's like, has the value of currency, and therefore a woman would collect an extra 50% after the marriage dissolves. Amarava Mareish Hava Amina Hani Arnaki de Mechuza. The purses they use in Mechuza, you should go apart mehem. Right? They were, these Hermes bags, they're really expensive bags. People collect them. My time, asmechisu alayu. They relied on it like real estate. When the chazai the shaklu benafki. Once the marriage was over, they took them and they left. And they bought land with it. These bags, these purses, these Hermes purses. Amina asmechisiu arahu. Really, their only reliance is on ground, on land, and not on these things. They don't have the value of currency. When Mishnah says, "Meisi as bito." What's the minimum you can give as a dowry to your daughter? An apartment. The minimum is an apartment. Maximum is 5 apartments for your daughter and 4 for the grandkids. At least 50 zuz. I don't know. 50 zuz is the currency in whatever country you're living in. Pasuk lahachisa aruma. Father has no money. He says, "I am giving you. You want to marry her? I can't give you anything. Not even clothes. She can't even have clothes for her wedding or sheva brachos." Right? He only has to provide share k'tuzah manasa after they're married. He can't say, "Okay, I'll agree to the marriage. I'll provide her a wedding dress. I'll provide her clothes when I marry her for her sheva brachos." With clothing that I have. Since her father's not providing for her, he has to give her after the engagement while she's still living with her father. When an orphan girl, her parents died, and Basin is marrying her off. They have to give her at least 50 zuz. There's a tzedakah, a box of tzedakah, and the city has a lot. You give her as much as she's accustomed to from her family. If she's a rich family, you have to give her a lot. And the Mishnah says that the minimum amount is 50 zuz. That's simple zuzim, meaning the currency of the country you're in, and not the best currency, the standard currency, which is kesef tsuri, right? Tsuri sounds like sterling, the sterling pound, right? The gold standard of currencies is the English pound. It's worth the most, besides the Kuwaiti dinar, but it's worth the most. It's the most expensive currency. So give her the currency of that place you are. So whereas if there's a lot of money in the tzedakah fund in that community, you give her what her family is accustomed to. Amrinan, my kis, what is the kis? Right, the purse of tzedakah that they have in that, the gemach, the tzedakah fund they have, the rabbi tzedakah fund. If you'll say the minimum she gets is 50 silver pounds, sterling pound. If that would be crazy, meaning if there's extra money more than 50 sterling pounds, you give her, that's a fortune. It's a lot of money. Right? Regular, the minimum amount is to give her 50 shekel if you live in Israel, 50 liras if you live in Turkey. an orphan boy, an orphan girl. They have no food, they have no clothing. Who do you give first? You give first to the girl. Right? You don't see too many women going around collecting tzedakah, right? There's not too many shluchim that are women. Women don't generally go. Men generally come to collect at Gvirim's houses. Again, you have an orphan boy, an orphan girl. Shabo, top of Samach Zayin, base 67b. Shabo linase. They want to get married. First, the shadchan deals with the girl, and then with the boy. Right? Everybody knows that it's more embarrassing for a girl not to be married than a guy not to be married. A girl who's not married, I've heard stories about this. People don't even go to their sister's engagement party because they're embarrassed to be the older sister around. They're very embarrassing for older girls, for older guys. Who cares? Most men don't even marry anyway. Yasam Shabal Lisa, Sochrin lo Bayis Metzian lo Mita. A Yasam that comes to get married. He comes to get married. Sochrin lo Bayis Metzian lo Mita. B'chol Kli Tashmisha. B'achak Metzian lo Isha. He comes to the tzedakah fund. He has nothing to his name. First, they rent out a room for him, an apartment, and then they, provide a bed for him. Anything that he needs. He needs a refrigerator. He needs a table. He needs chairs. The last thing they do is find a wife for him. The first part of the pasuk, what he's lacking, bias. That's a place to live. That's referring to zemita v'shulchan. That's the basic essentials, the furniture. A bed, a table, a refrigerator, a washing machine. Lo, zuisha. Lo is referring to a woman. The word lo in that pasuk is a reference to a helpmate for a person, his wife. Right? You're mitzvah to give his basic needs. You don't have to make him rich. However, if he comes from a family where he's accustomed to living a rich lifestyle, so then you would have to have a horse, or maybe horsepower, a nice turbo engine car to give him. You have to have a butler to run in front of him, or maybe a chauffeur, for his car. Pamakas lamatza eved laretz. Sorry. Amru alav hila zaken. Sibet hila zaken. Shalakach la'ani ben tovim. Echad sus lerko alav eved laretz lefanav. He was in charge of the tzedakah. He was a rabbi. He had the rabbi's tzedakah fund. So he bought for someone, Ani Ben Tovim, right? He was a poor person from the family of rich people, a nice car. Chauffeur. If he didn't find someone available as a chauffeur, he was the chauffeur for 3 kilometers, 3 miles. Literally it means a slave to run in front of him. I would say a chauffeur. There was an incident with the upper part of the Galilee. If you know Israel, there's the Galil, which is the northern part of Israel. There's the upper Galilee and the lower Galilee. He was a poor person from a good family, a rich family. A liter of meat every day. So the Gemara says literal basar my rebusa. Now, the Art Scroll somehow calculates a liter. A liter is a measurement used for volume, for liquids. It's hard. You don't really measure. You use grams or kilograms to measure weight. Usually meat is measured by weight, not by its space, the volume. Somehow they calculate a liter to be about 400 grams, almost half a kilo. Depends what meat you're talking about. A kilo of meat could run anywhere from, $10 to, steak could run, a kilo of meat could run for $40. Lamb chops, $40. I don't know, $50 for a kilo. So, kilo is 2.2 pounds, for those people who don't know. So there's 400 grams. That's not so much meat, 400 grams. He was a rich guy. He had a couple of meals a day, He had a couple of steaks a day. My ribusa, what's the chiddush? Amar Ravuna, litra basar mishal ofos. No. A liter of meat from birds. I don't know, I guess it means baby chicken. I don't know, really. Basar could be, meat from the neck of the animal. It could be, from the shank. It could be from the shoulder, the chuck. Not such expensive cuts of meat. They gave him, bird, pargit, baby chicken, spring chicken. So that's expensive. I say basar mamish actually was a liter of basar mamish, meaning the weight you would take let's say a bottle of water that's a liter, you weigh that would weigh a lot more. That might weigh more than a kilo. That's what they gave him. Ravashi Amar Hasan Kfar Katan Haya. No, the chiddush that they did there was coming from a small village. Right? They would have to shecht a fresh animal every day, and they had nowhere else to sell that meat, and they ruined a whole cow just for his one steak that day. That was a big expense for the stucco fund. Someone came to Rabbi Nechemia. He asked him, what are you accustomed to eating for dinner? I have aged wine, at least 20 years old, vintage wine. I have basar shamin, fatty meat, asado, spare ribs. He said, listen, can't afford to give you that, but you can come to my dinner, and we have lentil soup, like Esau. Gilgal imo ba'adashim. So he had no choice. He came to his house for dinner, and he had lentil soup every night. Well, Mace, he ended up dying. Imagine that. You're accustomed to steak every night, you have lentil soup, you're going to die. Amar oy lo lizeh shahargo Nechemia. Terrible for this person that Nechemia killed him. Adarabba, the Gemara says, oy lo Nechemia shahargo lizeh. If Nechemia, this rabbi, had to give him steak and he gave him only lentils, it was his fault. He killed him. That's worse than saying, poor guy, poor Nechemia, you murdered somebody. Ella, it wasn't his fault, Nechemia. He shouldn't have got himself accustomed to a lifestyle of eating fatty meats when he had no money in the bank account. So it wasn't his fault, technically. Someone came from Rava. He said, what do you normally eat for dinner? He preferred chicken, Cornish hens, of course, the vintage wine. Right? You're coming to get stuck on, what's going to be the rest of the people? I have to give so much money to you, but that's your custom. I'm not eating from your stuck. From the Rahmana kachil, Hashem's feeding me. The sanina, ene kol ilachis vero atanos lehem esochlam b'ito. It says in Ashrei, right? We hear this pasuk. Hashem gives whatever a person needs. B'itam lo nemar. It doesn't say in general people. Allah b'ito. Each single person. The hashgacha process. Mamash kol echa ve'echa nosan hashbarach parnasaso b'ito. Hashem gave every person his unique parnasa, whatever he needs, in the right time. While they were talking, Rava's sister came. He hadn't seen his sister in 13 years. And she was holding, she wanted to see Rava. She wanted to bring some nice food for him. She brought some Cornish hen, and she brought yain yashan, vintage wine. He said, what's going on over here? I don't eat such stuff. I have Cheerios for dinner every night. He said, I spoke wrong to you. I spoke wrong to this ani. Come eat this food. It's not food I like. I eat Cheerios every night. Maybe honey nut Cheerios. You eat this food. Person has no money. I have a little different shot. I would like to say Einlo means he cannot provide for himself. People with disabilities, people are down on their luck, they're depressed, they can't get a job. They know it's at least parnes. And he doesn't want to take staka from he's embarrassed to take staka. So he will take it as a loan. So you let him borrow money, and then you say you don't have to pay it back. Originally you give it to him as a present. And then you give it to him as a halva. You say you have to actually pay it back. אפשר ללמוד בהיכל נוסן צבי, אני נותן שיר עכשיו. מה? אני יודע, אני מוסר שיר עכשיו, זה מפריע אותי. So he doesn't want it. So he says you give him matana and then you take it alva. So the Gemara says l'shum matana. Originally you give it to him as a matana. Halo shakel. Someone doesn't want him to respond to his staka. He feels embarrassed to take money from staka. I'm a rava. No, it means liftocha l'shum matana. No, you trick him. You say you want a present. Of course he's going to say no, I don't want a present. So then you say no, I'm going to give it to you as a halva, and then you don't ask for repayment. This way he feels you have the extra money. You want to give it as a present to him, so you have extra money, so he's willing to take it when you offer it to him as a loan. Yesh lo ben rotzah leisparnes. So the article translates yesh lo ben rotzah leisparnes means he has money, but he doesn't want to spend his money. He is spendthrift. He can't spend any money. It's hard for him to spend money. Right? He doesn't want to take staka, so he won't spend his own money. He doesn't take staka. Well, actually, they didn't translate He doesn't want to. It means a little different. Already. He doesn't want to take. He doesn't want to use his own money. It's a little different than that's the article translation. He doesn't want to use his own money. You give it to him as a present. He'll take a present. And then you ask him to pay it back. So the Gemara says, "Chosin Sharlo Moda Heichel Nasan Tzvi." אני נותן שירה עכשיו. תודה. So, so the Gemara says, and then you make him pay back because he has money. If you ask him for repayment, he's not going to take anymore. After money, you go to his heirs and you say, you owe me money. He has money, he doesn't want to spend it. You don't deal with him. Deal with it yourself. Spend your own money. If he has no money and he doesn't want to take stock, bring a mashko and bring a collateral of a toll and take it as a loan. So it'll feel good that you're giving it a loan, and of course you're not going to ask repayment. Havet means halva. It's a double lashon. It's about giving a loan to people. He has no money. He doesn't want to take stock. You give him as a loan, and then you let him keep it. I'm explaining it the way the article explains it. And I'm going to explain it the way I want to explain it. He has his own money. He doesn't want to support himself. You give him as a present, then you ask him to repay it after death. His heirs to repay after death. They say, like we said before, the other opinion, you don't deal with him. Why does the pasuk say a second word? Sometimes, like people will repeat themselves for emphasis. The Torah also does. He had a certain poor person in his neighbor. He would stick $4 under the door, so he would be able to have what to eat that day. The poor person said, "I'll stay at home. I want to see who's giving me the money." Who's doing this good act for me? Mar Ukva was late. He was learning late in the base medrash. Asked to be so, but haday. Ended up his wife accompanied him to this guy's house. Came in the chazu the kamatzli lay ladasha nafak basrayu. Once he saw them putting the money under the door, he ran after them. Road kameh. They didn't want to see this guy because they were big tzaddikim, and they didn't want to see the person they're giving tzedakah to. It would embarrass him. Asuna. They went into to have a grufa. They went into an oven that was the coals were taken out of. The grufa nura, the coals were taken out of. It was still very hot. Have a kamakalian kari de marukva. Marukva's feet were burning. I'm related to be tau. Shkol karei osiv akarai. Put your legs on top of mine. Her legs weren't burning. Chalash daite. He was very upset that his wife was a bigger tzaddikus than him. I'm rolei anash chachina begavei de beis. I'm on a higher level. I'm in the house all the time. Makarva and yase. Right? I give out food to them and they're able to eat that. You just give money. They have to go buy it. My kule hi. What were they doing? Why were they so embarrassed? Why couldn't they look at this person? Amar Zusha Martuvia Amar Rav Huna Bar Bizna Amar Shimon Chasidim Amar Amar Yochanan Mishum Rishim Ben Yochai Nochel Adam Shim Shal Atzmal Toch Kivshan Eish. It's easier for a person. I mean, it's the right thing. It's easier. Nochel Adam. It's easier for a person Shim Shal to put himself in a fiery furnace. V'Yalim Pnei Chavera Barab, not to embarrass him. Minol Mitamar. Dichsev Himotzeis. Right? She was going out to be burned rather than embarrassing Yehuda, who was responsible for becoming pregnant. She'd rather burn than embarrass Yehuda in public. Marukva hava ani b'shevusei. Marukva had a poor person in his town. Every Erev Yom Kippur, he would give him $400. Yom Echad shadrinu nihale biad brei. One Erev Yom Kippur, he couldn't go. He sent his son to give it to him. Asa amar lo sarich. He said, I don't have to give it to him. He doesn't need it. Amar my chazes. What did you see in his house? Chazai. They had vintage wine. They were using it as Febreze over there. They were spraying the house with wine. They're so luxurious. He doubled the amount. He gave it to them. He saw they were accustomed to a higher standard of living. He wanted to give them more. When he was dying, Amar Isulei Cheshbonai tzedakah. Let me go see, how much money I've given out over my life, over tzedakah. Ashkach tahava kasebe shivas alfei dinrei sianki. He gave us 7,000 dinarim sianki. I don't know, really. The article says this corresponds 119,000 dinarim, which is really a lot of money. Amar Zvadai Kalili Baruch Rechikta. He said, I'm going on a long path after death, and I have very few provisions, meaning I didn't give enough tzedakah. Kam bizbezei lapalge mamone. He became a huge philanthropist, gave away half of his fortune. Someone was giving tzedakah. He shouldn't give away more than 1/5 of his wealth. And that's when he's still alive. Because maybe he'll become poor. But after he dies, he can give away as much as you want, even up to half, maybe your whole fortune you give away. I mean, your children are not going to be too happy, but technically you can give away for your own schusim, because who matters more, you or your children? That's concluded in today's shir. Stay tuned for Ian Ben Sion. We're going to talk about an important topic about tzedakah, about people wanting to take from tzedakah, not wanting to take from tzedakah. You don't want to miss it. Coming up next.